Hey. Dude, I have no idea what's going on. I feel my life changing so fast, but it feels right. Like this is what I wanted. So I've been in school literally my whole life. Like since pre-K, I haven't had a single break. I just finished my 7th year of college, and during my undergrad, I really started taking YouTube seriously because I worked at Cookout and I hated it so much. I literally burned the trash can on the first week. Anyway, that's besides the point. After a while, I started seeing success with the YouTube channel, so I started taking it really seriously. And personally, for me, the biggest highlight of my whole YouTube time here was during my Masters in Frost when I collabed with Chad Lefkowitz-Brown. Came out of nowhere, he reached out to me on Instagram. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And we made 3 videos, a classical snob versus a jazz teacher. Jazz looks be-like. And he showed me what it's like to be part of a production team. We released my first jazz PDF, and I did not have to edit a single video or touch a single camera. As someone that spends hundreds of hours editing my own videos, this was pretty cool. Not only that, it was my first time in New York, and I was just so in awe. And I was also in awe that it was Chad Lefkowitz-Brown. I was actually meeting him in the flesh. You know, back in undergrad, me and all my friends would be up to like 4 a.m. in the little dorm lobby, and we discovered this guy on YouTube, Chad Lefkowitz-Brown, and it was such an anomaly, right? He's like 6'3", he's playing this most killing, blazing bebop lines. Glistening blue eyes, and his freaking name is Chad. We're like, surely this guy must be a jerk. So we click on his videos, and he was actually really generous to give all these really helpful tutorials. I'll never forget first seeing his tutorial on chromaticism. It like just blew my mind, seeing how the enclosures worked and how you can work a whole enclosure exercise through an entire scale. That was totally new to me at the time, despite me being in school. I totally bought the book, I practiced a lot of stuff in there, and for the rest of the transcriptions I've ever done, anytime I see chromaticism or approach notes, I have just such a better understanding, all because of this resource. Back then, he was making tutorials just based off the most typical questions he would get from his Skype lessons. And as someone who's taught a lot of online one-on-one Zoom sessions, you do notice after a while, a lot of the questions are the same. So Chad would take the most common questions and create a PDF resource and have this extremely valuable knowledge made into an ebook and made it available to everyone for a very affordable price. Fast forward years later, he's built a company called Jazz Lesson Videos, and it's really become this giant database of affordable and accessible jazz education. The PDF resources have become so abundant, you can find a topic of just about any improvisational concept. They now offer video courses going very deep on whatever concept of your choosing. Chad released one on the jazz language, and they just released another one on reharmonization by Holger Martiama. Absolutely beautiful reharmonizations. He also has this really unique thing called Text Lesson Studios, where you can send in videos and get a personalized critique of your own playing by an expert jazz musician. You also get personalized monthly assignments, which is really useful for the people that don't quite always know exactly what they should practice next. And monthly studio hangs, where you have the opportunity to do a Q&A session with Chad Lefkowitz-Brown. They also have the Masterclass series, where an expert gives a very long, detailed class on a particular concepts such as the pentatonics. They also have mentorship sessions where they bring in a new world-class jazz musician every week to come and host a class and present you with the opportunity to talk with them. They've had Andrew Gold on, they've had Bob Mentzer on, they've had Sam Dillon on, and many more on the way. And this is really unique. They have something called the Jazz Gym, where a coach will have 3 assignments in 15-minute blocks, and there's a group of people in the Zoom session, and you are all collectively working on the same material together. I've done a few of these sessions now, and there is something really psychologically interesting about the intensity of your focus, knowing that everyone in the Zoom session is practicing. Especially if your camera's on, you don't want to be that guy that's just like checking their phone or getting distracted. No, you want to practice.
Yeah, a professor like me.
Are you a professor of jazz?
I wish, but thank you for suggesting. Business side of things, yeah.
And Sam here, I don't know if he hears this, but he's a professor in physics at Syracuse. We've all been mostly together for 2 years, most days.
I think it's really special what he's built. I still do think back to the times where these online resources was all that I had. In high school and middle school, I didn't take private lessons ever. All I had was online resources, YouTube tutorials in particular. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are in similar positions. Maybe they're people from another country that doesn't have jazz school. Maybe they're people that just retired and don't feel interested in going into a 4-year institution institution of music school. Maybe they want to keep their chops up, but would rather major in something like nursing. Imagine saving someone's life and then shredding on stablemates that same night at your local gig. And I'm not ditching school at all. I think there's something really special about that community aspect. I went to the Frost School of Music, University of Miami, and the experience was really, really cool. I loved the campus. I loved that little lake. I would just transcribe by that lake while I ate my Starbucks brownie. But despite my 60% tuition scholarship, I did get left with $80,000 of debt. If all I wanted to do was to learn to get good at jazz improvisation, I would go back and do things differently. I don't think anyone needs to spend that much money to learn jazz. Why I stayed in school is because my original plan was to become a professor, but I also fell in love with the idea of having a far outreach to connect with thousands of people. Well, a month ago, I'm just hanging with my family in North Carolina and I get a call on my phone, and it's Chad Lefkowitz-Brown, and he offers me to become CEO of Jazz Lesson Videos. What this means is essentially I will have a production team in my hands, and I'll have the power to combine my ideas with Chad Lefkowitz-Brown's to bring you guys jazz content of all kinds. Fun content that maybe you've never even seen before, and I can bring on all kinds of guests of our choosing to create all kinds of videos, such as lesson videos, maybe even podcasts, maybe a fun challenge. I'm personally always really curious to see the human side of people, so I have a lot of ideas of how to bring that about. And Chad is such a nice guy. He really makes sure I have flexibility to still post what I wanted to post on my Saxologic channel. So this is not by any means the end of classical saxophone content, and if anything, I'll be able to do what I've always done, but have more time to do it because now I have a production team to help all my ideas come to life. So I have accepted this role as CEO of Jazz Lesson Videos. I do want to give recognition and thanks to Austin Kruchek. He's been the CEO of Jazz Lesson Videos for the last 5 years. He was a major contributor to building this empire. Over the years, he's really become the full package. He's an expert videographer, he's an expert graphic designer, he's an expert executive director, he's an expert administrator, he's an expert organizer. He's really left me giant shoes to fill. And he's been so helpful showing me the ropes as we transition. He'll be focusing on growing his multimedia business, and we're all excited to see where he goes from here. So far during this transitioning period, Chad and Austin have been sort of training me and showing me the ropes. They flew me out to New York next week, and I got to observe them create a resource with Holger Mariyama. I got to see how Austin works the camera and the audio stuff, and I got to see how Chad directed Holger in a direction so that the viewer, when the product is out, will have a very clear watching experience. And then the next 2 days after that, we spent 6 hours straight on both days shooting my own course on my 7-step process to learning jazz standards. That will be released next week, and so I got that first-hand experience of what is it going to be like to direct someone and direct a team. It was really cool, brand new to me. It feels like what I've always done, but with a team of people I really like. This also does mean I have to move to New York now. So I will be moving to New York. I'm looking for an apartment right now. I should be in there within a couple of weeks, and I start officially as CEO in September. I'm honestly so excited to move to New York. I walked around Manhattan, I saw the Blue Note, the Village Vanguard, Smalls, and there's just something about that energy. It just felt so American. And one of the things that excites me the most is I get to make videos with all kinds of people. The best musicians in the world live in New York. And my favorite videos I've ever done are the videos that I've done with other people, such as Jesse, or my friend Alonzo and Josh, or Kevin King, or my friends in Frost. I always have 1,000 ideas in my head, and I just feel like all of them are going to be funner to execute when I have someone else. New York is full of saxophonists and personalities, and I want to do videos with everyone. And I'm very much looking forward to that, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing all the amazing musicianship live right there in front of my face. Since I am accepting this role, this does mean I am taking a break from school, which is absolutely crazy to say. I've never not been in school, ever. I do want to thank my undergrad professor, Dr. Jeffrey Bear. Dr. Bear was an amazing classical saxophonist and jazz saxophonist and taught me everything I know about crossing over. He's a really tough and brutally honest teacher, and that's exactly what I need needed at the time. I also want to thank Patrick Bartley. At the Frost School of Music, we got really lucky my last semester as he came to fill up a temporary teaching slot, and I was his last student of the day, so he always went overtime by up to 2 or 3 hours. He didn't have to do that, but he just did it out of his own passion and his own generosity. I will never forget those lessons. And I also want to thank Dr. Schultz. Dr. Schultz accepted me as graduate assistant at the University of Memphis. He truly blows me away with both his classical sound and his jazz improvisation. I literally can't tell which one he's better at. Thanks to him, I finally conquered my kryptonites in my classical playing: circular breathing, double tonguing, and altissimo D sharp up to F. He truly is a professor that goes above and beyond for his students. He's so knowledgeable about the academic world. Dr. Schultz is so good at getting his graduate students to get a career that there is this tradition that his DMA students don't finish school because they end up finding a job first. If you're looking for schools to study saxophone, whether that's classical or jazz, or especially both, I really recommend putting University of Memphis on your list. Just try at least one lesson with Dr. Schultz. I bet you that's going to influence your opinion a lot. Thank you, Dr. Schultz, for everything you've done. And thank you, Memphis. What a beautiful city, full of great people, full of great food, history, and support for the arts everywhere. I just had a realization. I've actually never walked a graduation stage. For my undergrad, COVID happened. For my master's, I missed the graduation applying deadline. And for my DMA, I didn't complete it. So even though I'm not continuing school, maybe I will one day, but for now I'm not, I will still be continuing learning. There's a lot of new skills I'm gonna have to really get good at. But I'm honestly super excited for it. My soul felt like it was time for me personally to try something new and just get out there and see what the real world's like. Alright, well, thank you guys so much for 190,000 subscribers. It is 3:56 a.m. right now. I don't know why I waited this long to record this video, but have a good day.